Evening folks, hope everyone is well. In this video I'm going to attempt to answer some questions that have come in the comments section. So just to explain myself, like sometimes when a comment comes in, it's like I'll think, oh, I'll answer that in terms of video, but then of course I have to actually make time to record the video. So some questions don't go answered for a while. Yeah, hello. So apologies for that. This will be a bit of a mixed bag. I'm going to deal with 3 questions in this video. So I'll put chapters in my description. So if you want to hear about the gate output of the Behringer Pro 1, or if you want to hear about the sync settings of a pocket operator, or if you want to know about recording the Model D, specifically latency and or quantization in Ableton Live, those are the 3 things that I'm going through in this video. Okay, if none of that's your cup of tea, see you in the next one. All right, let's get on with the main body. Question number 1 is about the Pro 1, the lovely Pro 1. I should have got my glasses. ATK90X says my Pro 1 came back from the repair. That's bad. Bad luck if you've got issues with your Pro 1. But the behavior is pretty much the same. So I think you've got issues with your gate out. It outputs 5 volts, but is not firing some modules or even the neutron. So it's not necessarily the Pro 1, is it? It could be an issue with the neutron, maybe. That is his brother. I'm trying to find out if this is expected or not. Could you please so kind as test your Pro 1 gate out, fires and neutron E-gates, for example? Well, the first test that I did is using the Korg NTS2. We've got an ARP going. Let me just fire the ARP off. And what we can see is I've got the vertical, so we're taking the gate out into the NTS2, and I'll set the vertical axis to be like 5 volts. And you can see that it's exactly outputting 5 volts. So, right, as you can see, it says, yeah, 5 volts there. Let's just see if you're seeing that. Yeah, vertical axis 5 volts. So in my hands, the gate out is absolutely outputting a 5 volt gate signal. So possibly we need to work out what's going on with the neutron. I would say would be my first sort of, well, or my next question. I think it's a case of diving into the neutron manual. Oh no, not a manual. Oh no. All right, test number 2. So I've got the gate out of my Pro 1 going into my envelope and my modular synth, and the 1 volt per octave going into the Dope for Basic oscillator, and then MIDI into the Pro 1. So essentially I'm using my Pro 1 as a MIDI to CV converter. So let's fire off that ARP. You can't hear anything because the volume's down. And some effects. Okay. This works fine. Now, what I was able to determine is if I use a stereo 3.5mm jack into my envelope, it sounded kind of crazy. Let's set that up. What's going on there? Okay. And also, as a hack, if I just pull the stereo signal out so it's half in, so essentially just a single tip, normal service is resumed. So I would suggest possibly your Pro1 is fine, but use a mono cable to interact with your neutron. Try that. Let me know how it goes. I need to read the manual and see what's actually coming out of the gate output, because it seems like a mono or a stereo signal does different things. That may be intentional for people using kind of splitter cables or something. I'll be honest, that was something new to me. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Okay, next question. Splat Pope, good handle. My PO33, I don't have the 33. This is, I think, the 28. This is the sub. Same sync setting as you on both sides. Yep. The sync setting, you set the sync and it's just, you know, it sets what's on sort of the input and the output. Emits a loud pop whenever I start the free microfreak sequencer, as I suspect it's because sync mode 4, the PO receives both sync and audio from the input jack. Right, so correct, in sync mode 4 it's expecting sync and audio. Okay, and retransmitting both on the output. Well, the output is audio left and audio right. So in my experience, I don't have that problem in sync mode 4. But I do have that in sync mode 0 on the PO28. So what we've got going on here is I'm taking a CV splitter cable of my outputs and going into the NTS2, and then I'm just monitoring the I think the right, or no, I'm monitoring the left outputs just so we can hear it. So in sync mode 0, so I am hearing, because I'm taking a clock signal out of my modular synth into the input, and I'm in sync mode 0, which is expecting input of audio and is outputting audio. So if I ramp up the clock, we're hearing that, because it's taking the sync signal, the clock signal, and it's outputting that as audio. So if I start playing that, we do hear them both. So the problem that you're describing, it sounds like I have that with the PO28 if I'm in sync mode 0. If I go to, so sync mode 1, yeah, sync mode 1, it's outputting sync and audio, and we're obviously just hearing the one side. So that's behaving as expected. Sync mode, where are we? Hang on. Oops. Sync mode 2, it's outputting audio and audio, so we're hearing the audio. Sync mode 3, again, it's outputting sync on the one side and audio on the other. So So we're hearing that sync signal come through and then out again. Sync mode 4 that you're describing, I just get the audio. Doesn't matter what I do with the clock. Okay, it changes the tempo of the pocket operator, but I don't hear any pops, so I don't have that problem. Sync mode 5 again, that's got sync an audio. Yeah. So let's just stop that. In fact, let's just, yeah. So I don't have that issue. Well, I've not done the microfreak setup, but for what you want to do, if you want to have a sync signal coming from the microfreak to then power the pocket operator, you probably want sync setting 2, which has got inputting sync and just outputting audio. I think these things are quite mysterious, though. Does that answer your question? No. Possibly. I don't have that particular pocket operator, and I don't have your pocket operator, so I gave it my best shot. Let me know in the comments if that's helped or not. Next question. Ellie Groove Tiger, I think I'm pronouncing that right. Sorry, it's taking me ages to get back to you on this one. I've been busy. I recently bought a Model D, but still struggling to record it into Ableton. Can't find a good way to set up the latency, and always struggle to the recorded audio clip to be synced with the rest of the track. Any tips for that? Okay. So we can look at latency for sure, but also it might just be getting into the practice of playing along to a backing track. So it might also be a quantizing issue, but we can deal with latency, and possibly, you know, you've got something going on in Ableton and we've got the Model D and you'll just want to sort of play along to that. That kind of thing, and record that, and you know, and then it's maybe doesn't, you know, it's not quite sounding as tight as you imagined it. I mean, the thing with computer audio is it'll record everything to amazing precision and will capture all of your slight timing anomalies. Obviously that can be a good thing because we're humans, and you know, a little bit of chaos is good. But if you want that kind of, for sort of a lot of electronic music, it is quantized to really either, you know, quarter notes or 16th notes. But anyway, let's take a look at latency. Okay, let's just go through the setup here. So my controller keyboard is coming in on MIDI channel 1, and I know that's coming on my little cube port 1, and I know that my Z1, which is I'm using as a controller, is on channel 2. So we set the channel 2 there. Awesome. I know that I'm controlling my Model D. Again, I'm using my little box. I know that it's on port 2. Fine, great. Port 2, yeah. And I know that my Model D is set on channel 4. And I just need to toggle that button there. So when I press the keyboard, we hear the Model D. Awesome. And then I've just got some beats there. So that's the kind of setup. Now latency, if you go to preferences, Apple, comma, probably Control P on a Windows machine. In the audio tab, this is latency. Okay, now changing this will affect basically the speed between you pressing a note and you hearing that note. So on this particular setup, I've got 32 samples, input latency 0 milliseconds, output latency 3.9 milliseconds, overall latency 3.9 milliseconds. So in theory, my understanding is that the time between me pressing the key and me hearing it is 3.9 milliseconds, which basically is no latency. Now the highest setting, 2048 samples, now you can see that the output latency has gone up to 48.9 milliseconds. And again, difficult to really hear that as being, you know, sort of making really any difference. Possibly when I'm hitting a note, there is you know, possibly a delay. Now, different audio setups, you know, especially like say on a bog standard Windows laptop, no kind of fancy sound cards, setting up the latency is going to be important for you. What I'd suggest is, if you're just using sort of a Windows laptop, download ASIO for All, which will give you a nice snappy ASIO driver that you can run without needing any external sound cards. That is definitely the way to go on a Windows PC. So to do the recording, I'm going to set that to the lowest possible latency. This is also going to sort of, you know, I mean, if you're playing back a lot of samples as well, you're going to want to sort of fine tune this and maybe come up with some kind of intermediate value where you can play your instrument and without too much delay, but also the laptop will play back all of your music without glitching out on you. But for recording, let's keep it at, you know, the lowest possible buffer size. Now, possibly it's not a latency issue you're having. It's just a quantizing issue or lack of. So I just quickly recorded some sort of stuff here. So I'm just going to sort of say I was a bit sloppy with my playing, and these notes are sort of all over the place, right? What we can do to fix that, and you know, and you might want to keep your sort of, you know, human performance, but you might want to fix that. So I'm just going to do Control A to select everything. I'm going to right click, and then I've got Quantize, and I've got Quantize settings. Let's just have a look at the settings. So I can quantize it to the grid or to these kind of different note lengths. So obviously if you're quantizing it to sort of essentially they are crotchets, to use music theory, you're going to sort of if you're in 4/4, each of these is going to line up to sort of be exactly on the beats. But you can, you know, you can snap it to quavers, semi-quavers, triplets, 32 notes, you know, whatever you want. I think for this, you know, let's do it to eighth notes, quavers, and you've got, you know, you can decide, you know, the start of the note, the end of the note. Let's do both. You can decide a percentage, you know. So you can sort of go, well, I'd like it sort of quantized, you know, right? But we're going to do 100%, and as you'll see, boom. So I mean, that's not quite moved that to where I want it, but what you can see is these are now lining up on the grid, and that is essentially, you know, cleaning up sort of messy performance, and lots of nice quantize options, or don't worry about quantizing it. So possibly that's also, I mean, that's going to help you sort of clean up your, you know, if you're sort of playing something in and sort of really cleaning that up. I mean, of course you can just, you know, go in and go, oh, hang on, this I've selected everything. It was like, oh no, that needs to be there, and actually I'm going to move that there, and that's a wrong note, I'll just move that. You know, so you can sort of go in and just mess around with the notes, but you know, but having the Control A option, you know, just speeds up that initial. I'll capture something, I'll do a quick quantize, and then I'll go in and just alter any notes that I want. Well, if you've made it to the end, congratulations, well done. Bit of a marathon. All right, that's the end of the video. Any questions about any of this stuff, put them in the comments, and then maybe we'll do another one of these random trying to answer your questions videos. All right, cheers folks, ta-ra, bye 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 bye.